Content warnings for this episode: blood and gore, bright flashes, loud noises, and animal cruelty. Please be aware. And now, on to the episode. Hello there, and welcome back to Let's Play Sekiro. Just showing here, this is a little thing that happens with me. I think because my laptop isn't really that powerful, so Sekiro kind of chugs it. The enemies sometimes don't spawn right away. It takes a bit of time for them to load in. Also, that's annoying when you get hit like that. But I'm actually getting this enemy here for a reason. So, if someone was keen-eyed, it may have appeared in the background in an episode. One of the previous ones. But I need to puppet this Okami Warrior, and then bring her with me. I'll have to puppet her again. You can puppet one enemy multiple times, or multiple, as long as you have enough emblems. And this allows them to last longer and go further. Doing this can have some pretty big advantages, such as I'm going to show right here. Now I'm trying to get her so that I can do a death blow from behind. I need to do it from behind, of course, because you need to do that to use ninjutsu. The reason why is there is a mini-boss here, the Sakura Bowl. The Sakura Bowl has, like, divine on its head, similar to divine confetti. It's, I think, the exact same particle. It's basically a reskin of Blazing Bowl. Very similar. If you deflect its head, you're going to take damage. There's archers up on the roofs, but if you want a really, really easy way to defeat this, just distract it and let the Okami you brought hit it with lightning. Now, similar to deflecting terror attacks, it appears that you're allowed to deflect magic if you just have divine confetti on your blade. So I can deflect Sakura Bowl like this. Now, as it is a reskin, Sakura Bowl is pretty much the same as Blazing Bowl in almost every way, just a different damage type. If you fight it over near this wall, the archers above can't hit you. Using this puppet makes it much easier, and you can actually get a stealth death blow if you jump from above. This can be pretty handy. So, let's talk a little bit about bowls in Japanese folklore. Also, just quickly, here's how you get up here. You want to sneak around. The enemies below can actually see you while you're on the roofs. You can backstab this first enemy. The next closest one up here actually is within vision of the archer in the back. You need to go along this left path and take out the third archer and then go back to the second. But about bowls in Japanese folklore. No clue. Sorry, there doesn't seem to be too much that's totally accurate or, like, sourced and known. At least from what I can find online, there usually is more in, like, local libraries, especially in Japan. And basically, if you live in Japan, you're probably going to have access to a lot more sources than I am, especially if you're in college. But yeah, that's the stealth death blow. Also, as you can see, Sakura Bowl is a skull. But yeah, there's not too much folklore about bowls in Japan, especially historically. There's bull fighting, but it was more like making two bulls fight each other. And that's kind of a later thing. There are some stories of some sort of mysterious bull creature that gets referenced a lot in historical documents. And I can't find anything concrete on it. It just seems like a thing that people referenced a lot, but didn't explain what it was. I don't know. Like if everybody in 2000 just started calling everything Jabberwocky, but no one had ever read like Alice in Wonderland or anything related to it. That was the Jabberwock, right? I believe so. But yeah, anyway. Sakura Bowl, dead. I feel a little less bad killing this one because it's some sort of skull creature, but that still looks painful. So a thing that Sakura Bowl drops is Beast's Karma. And it talks about how creatures can inherit the karma of humans by killing them. Similar to how Shinobi do. Well, that was a big fish. That is the Great Colored Carp. I will be doing an episode dedicated to that, maybe right after this one. That would probably be a good point to do it, frankly. So this area over here has a lot of different symbols. You're also going to notice a sort of, I believe it's Chinese soccer? That's what I always hear it called. Just historical sport. You know, a lot of things existed before. They had a sort of soccer basketball in South America. So, to talk a little bit more about the Okami and some of the things here, the Okami, as I've been told, the kanji for it less has to do with like the concept of a wolf, more to do with dragons and gods, and the Kami, of course. These women are descended from a clan. In certain notes, it mentions how the Okami came here. They were a clan that came here and then seemingly took over. It doesn't mention anything prior, so they may be the ones that settled this area. They seem to worship Hachiman, if I had to make a guess. Hachiman is heavily related to the Kamakura shogunate and the Minamoto clan, as well as the Fujiwara, I believe it's called, imperial line of that family. Hachiman is a kami of basically lightning and storms and wind, which is going to be very fitting for this area. Hachiman is also related to Buddhism, not just as a Shinto kami, but he's also been integrated into Japanese Buddhism. He's seen as a sort of protector and savior of Japan. Historically, people probably have heard, because of it's basically like a meme thing at this point about when the Mongols tried to invade Japan and got killed by a storm at sea, which, if I remember right, happened twice. So he's kind of considered responsible for that, and it made him last and persist a lot more in Japanese culture and be seen as more important and relevant. So these soccer enemies have two different types of main attacks at range. They'll either do a sort of charged up kick that sends the ball straight at you really hard, or they'll do a lighter kick and it'll curve off to their left side, your right, and home in on you. They're not really dangerous unless you're jumping around a bunch. I'm going to be screwing up a bit here, but we'll get to see that in just a moment. Here is a sort of comedy of errors. This happens a lot with enemies that jump on roofs, where they'll jump up right next to you, but they don't seem to be able to see or become alert while they're jumping. It's like their vision stays where they were until they land at the new spot or something. This is a sort of like little platform area, a stage. You're going to see a lot of them around here. It's hard to kind of detail everything that is going on here visually. So we are... Okay, I forgot. I just totally spammed there. I don't even remember why. I don't think I was really panicking. I think it was because I just kept thinking I was going to get hit by something when I wasn't. Hopefully that noise didn't come through. Just the wire. But there's a lot going on here. We're going to look right here. You can see dragons And here is called a Tomoe, or Mitsu Tomoe, or Mitsu Domoe. The Hidari Mitsu Domoe is the left-facing version. And there is a Buddhist version on the Dharma wheel. This version is actually used a lot. For instance, the Usege clan of Japan that was led by Usege Kenshin, the god of war, who was considered the personification of Bishamonten, one of the gods of war, who was a kami, but also is in Buddhism as, I believe he's one of the wisdom kings, actually, as a representative in Japan. So, also what happened here was a little bit visually confusing. This is not normally how I fight these enemies. I usually stealth through. Also, here I'm just showing what these things remind me of up on these little elevated stages. They look like taiko drums. I'm not sure if they're sort of like older stone ones meant just for looks or if they're used for anything. It's hard to tell what some things are made of. Also, yeah, the Okami have a weird thrust where they jump in the air and thrust. Now, this is similar to the style of Genichiro, but his is more of like a leaping forwards. Theirs is very delayed. I'm going to also be looking at some of the other symbols here. Atop these are what appear to be suns. There is a sort of thing called like a sunburst. There's another term for it as well, used in art, but that's more modern. Now in Japan, these for like the symbol of Japan for the rising sun, or just the sun itself, is supposed to have, I believe, 16 points. But strangely, the suns here have 14 or 18. Another thing I've been just checking and looking, the sort of little talisman on the neck of these dogs looks like the Magatama. The Tomoe, or swirl, is also regarded as resembling the Magatama. The Magatama, though, is pretty ancient. It's just been used in Japan for quite a long time. It was originally made of stone, usually. This area is very old. I think I mentioned it a lot. This is based more on older Japanese architecture. Quite a lot of the buildings here resemble a lot of the redesigns of Nijo Palace and of Nara in Japan. Nara is the former capital before it moved to Kyoto, but they're sort of close. And Nara continued to be in use in relation to the royal family and to nobility afterwards until later. Eventually, I believe it was damaged heavily and had to be rebuilt in, was it Edo or Meiji Restoration? But in either case, a lot of these places actually don't have the exact same architecture that they once had. People are going off of artwork and descriptions for rebuilding them and trying to make them still work. Now, we are about to be attacked by two Okami that come out here once you get near this sort of Sakura bowl. There is another one of these near the grave of Tomoe and Takeru. Originally, I thought that it appeared after Emma goes there, but no, it looks like it's there beforehand, and it's where the Sakura droplet is. Or not Sakura droplet, dragon blood droplet of the divine heirs, likely belonging to Takeru. Now, I asked Miyabi about this. She said it was a sort of offering why it's in that bowl. The reason I mention this is because you can see petals all around. There's sakura trees everywhere. But around the bowls on the ground there isn't, and they're underneath roofs. So it looks like they're intentionally being put in there, possibly. It reminds me a lot of water divination and how that works, and of watching how things fall and then trying to read them and prophesize. But I don't know if that's something that is traditionally done in Japan with sakura. I'm not really sure. Water, of course, is super important in Sekiro. I was also looking into things about what was it? I believe it was a temple a temple that during Edo was used by the Shinsengumi as headquarters. That was called Mibu. I believe it was Mibu Dara. Very similar name. I just thought very interesting. There are a few Mibu things there, as well as a form of puppet theater based around that word. So, could just be little references or even just coincidence. You want to jump down here and kill these archers if you want to sneak up on the Okami ahead. Now, if you don't kill them, they'll spot you and alert the others, or if you're not doing stealth, you'll just get shot while fighting them the whole time. Up ahead is a sort of stage where the Okami is doing a dance. There's another dance like this near the entrance of Fountainhead, an Okami at a bridge. I actually have a 10-minute version uploaded of this dance. It seems to just loop. There are a few dances and sort of theater it could be related to. No, of course, the Okami are all wearing no masks. Now, this is a sort of Sakura viewing platform, it appears. It's right next to the Sakura. So there's a little history to this concept. Now, the capital, or Kyoto at this time, and still is, was full of sakura. They had quite a lot of it. Hanami means flower viewing. There is a long tradition of watching the flowers during spring, and of watching the sakura petals drop. If I remember right, this only lasts for about 1 to 2 weeks, and happens at a specific point, so they can actually have holidays designed around it. There's a long tradition of viewing the sakuras. Now, here I'm going to try and sneak up behind this enemy. I'm going to use the Okami to kill the others. This is the one that was dancing. It's stronger than the others. When you kill that specific Okami the first time, you get the Dragon Spring Sake. That is the sake from the master, as it is described in the text, though it's a little confusing how an Okami would have that unless the master is up here somewhere in Fountainhead. That is a little strange, though there are also a few items that mention Okami going to war, so possibly this is left over. Now, as you can see, they fight kind of similar to Genichiro. They fight similar to the Spiral Cloud Passage and Cloud Passage skills you can learn, which are related to Tomoe. Spiral Cloud Passage is a skill of hers. We can't get it yet, but it's going to be like an endgame, lots of skill point farming thing. Here I'm also just going back and grabbing a few things like upgrading the Golden Vortex, which doubles enemy loot, and getting the Piercing Sabimaru. Next I want Lazulite. Lazulite actually does do more poison buildup over time. Which means you'll use less emblems poisoning enemies with it. It's quite handy. I'm a big fan of the Sabimaru. Now you need Purple Fume Spark to get it, and you need Lapis Lazuli. Lapis Lazuli only comes from the final area. Only following Kuro's path will actually allow you to get Lapis Lazuli. Also, just to show here, the Lilac Umbrella does not protect against enfeeblement. Also, you can get enfeebled while in the air. If you rest at the Sculptor's Idol while enfeebled, you'll no longer be enfeebled. Pretty nifty, huh? So, right here is that lightning enemy that had been hitting us while we were in the water. This is Okami leader Shizu. This, as I've been told by Miyabi, is an old name that is befitting of the Heian era. Now, Shizu has white hair. She's wearing purple, which seems to mean she is a higher, member. Now, Miyabi told me that the kanji for her name doesn't exactly say leader, but is more like prime. So like prime Okami Shizu. Shizu doesn't have much in the ways of melee. This is honestly an incredibly easy fight. Most of the time you're going to just sprint at her first time and kill her in like 1 or 2 hits. When she jumps up for her kicks, you can do an anti-air death blow instantly. She has really good homing on her lightning. It's kind of annoying to dodge. Also showing here Mist Raven, because of when you're doing neutral direction with it, sends you up into the air, you can use it to like reverse lightning without taking the damage from getting hit by lightning. Now, you can dodge through lightning with iframes. This is what you need to do for no hit, no damage. No matter what, lightning will deal damage to you if you're hit with it, even if you deflect it. Also, here I wanted to show knocking Shizu off into the water. She gives me her emblems, but I did not get any skill points, and I didn't get any prayer beads. That's because she didn't actually die. This is what happens if you knock mini-bosses off of ledges and into pits and things. It actually does not kill them. So I have to fight her again. Now, I'm not sure if it's the case for all bosses. I think it doesn't technically work on bosses who are immortals because they need to be killed with the Mortal Blade. But you can send certain bosses off cliffs. It's actually a way to kill Gyobu. You climb up a tower and you get him to jump off, and he'll just fall and die. I just realized we're getting pretty far into the episode, and I didn't really get to talk much about Hachiman. I'll maybe just find some space at a later point. Also, some more looks here. Close up at the Okami. But anyway, that is this episode. Next episode, we'll be dealing with the Great Colored Carp. I will be seeing you next time, and also you can make this jump back, see? But that's it for now. Bye-bye, see you later.